Most people think mindfulness should make them feel calmer. So when they try it and actually feel more anxious, more emotional, or more aware of uncomfortable sensations, they assume they're doing something wrong. But what if that's not a sign mindfulness is failing? What if it's one of the first signs that it's working? Not because mindfulness is making you anxious, but because it's helping you notice something that was already there. In this video, I'll explain why mindfulness doesn't always feel good, why that doesn't necessarily mean you should stop, and how to know when a different mindfulness practice might be a better fit for your nervous system. One of the biggest misconceptions about mindfulness is that people expect it to create calm. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't, because that's not actually its job. Its job is to help us notice what's already happening. Think about your day. Many of us spend much of it staying busy, working, scrolling, planning, problem solving, listening to podcasts, watching TV, keeping ourselves occupied. Sometimes we're distracting ourselves without even realizing it. Then we sit down to practice mindfulness. Everything gets quieter, and suddenly we notice our shoulders are tight, our stomach feels uneasy, our mind won't stop racing. There's sadness, there's fear, there's irritation. Mindfulness didn't create those experiences. It simply removed some of the distractions that made them harder to notice. Think of it like driving with loud music. When you finally turn the radio down, you suddenly hear the engine. The engine wasn't created when the music stopped. You could just hear it now. Mindfulness often works the same way. This is where I like thinking about mindfulness differently. Most people think mindfulness is about relaxation. I think mindfulness is primarily about collecting information, better information. The quality of our decisions depends on the quality of the information we're using. If we don't know we're overwhelmed, we can't respond to being overwhelmed. If we don't notice that certain conversations leave us exhausted, we can't make different choices. Mindfulness helps us collect better data about ourselves. And the catch is that better data isn't always pleasant. This becomes especially important for people who've experienced trauma. For some people, their body hasn't always been a safe place to be. Their body may hold fear, tension, pain, shame, or memories connected to difficult experiences. So when someone says, just notice your body, that isn't always a neutral invitation. For one person, noticing their breath feels calming. For another, it may feel vulnerable or overwhelming. Neither person is doing mindfulness incorrectly. Their nervous systems are simply responding differently based on what they've learned. If your body has learned that slowing down has historically been followed by painful emotions or memories, it makes sense that slowing down today might activate your nervous system. That's not failure, that's information. This is one of my favorite things about mindfulness. People often say, I'm terrible at mindfulness. Then they tell me, my mind kept planning, I kept criticizing myself, I wanted to quit, I couldn't stop thinking. I actually get excited when I hear that because they just noticed something incredibly important. Those aren't signs mindfulness failed, they're observations. Many of those experiences are protective strategies. Planning, problem solving, spacing out, distracting ourselves, self-criticism. These are often ways our nervous system has learned to keep us safe. Mindfulness didn't create those patterns. It helped us notice them. And once we can notice them, we have the opportunity to respond differently. Sometimes the issue isn't mindfulness, it's the particular practice. We often think mindfulness means paying attention to the breath, but that's only one option. Sometimes a better place to begin is noticing the colors around you, the sounds you can hear, your feet on the floor, the feeling of your hands touching a chair, or even mindful movement. Different practices ask different things of the nervous system. The goal isn't to force awareness, it's to build capacity for awareness. Healing isn't about forcing yourself to notice more than your nervous system can tolerate. It's about gradually increasing your capacity. Sometimes less awareness for a shorter period is actually more helpful. Sometimes we need grounding before mindfulness. Sometimes we need movement before stillness. Sometimes we need another person before we can comfortably turn inward. The dose matters, and the timing matters. So if mindfulness doesn't feel calming, that doesn't necessarily mean it isn't working. Instead of asking, did it work? Try asking, what happened? What did you notice? What became clearer? What surprised you? What information did your nervous system give you? Healing doesn't usually happen by forcing ourselves into the deepest sensations we've been avoiding. It happens gradually. With enough safety, our nervous system learns that it can notice a little more without becoming overwhelmed. And if paying attention to your breath or body doesn't feel helpful right now, that doesn't mean mindfulness isn't for you. It simply means you need a different starting place.